back in conditional formatting because we're not done yet. There's a lot still here. Icon sets. This is useful if you do not want a lot of color in the cell, maybe for printing purposes. And so there's just different icons I can put within the cell. And you'll notice most of the time it's a green, a yellow, and red, just kind of like the color scale, but instead we have icons. I tend to like the check mark, exclamation point, and the X. We're real familiar with these symbols. So the check we know is usually good. The exclamation point, well, we might want to look at that. The X is not good. So high, medium, and low. So I'm going to click on that. And you'll notice as I scroll through here that there's a lot of red X's and yellow exclamation points. There are some green checks. I'll prove it to you. There's one. But there's not a whole lot there. So I want to go back to my conditional formatting. And on icon sets, all of these do have a More Rules option. So if I click on More Rules, notice I could come in here and set the value for when these occur. So I could obviously change whether I'm doing an icon set or the scale or the data bar. I can choose what kind of icons I want to use. So I'm going to go back to my check marks and exclamation point and X. And then notice it says check mark when the value is greater than or equal to 67%. Well, you know, maybe I want to lower that to 50%. And then with the exclamation point, when I come in here, it's saying greater than or equal to 33. Notice once I tabbed off to 50%, now it says less than 50 and greater than 33. I'm going to leave it there and let the X be less than 33. And I'll click OK. And now I have a few more green checks showing up. Still a lot of red X's. That's not looking good for us, is it? Now there are other ways that I can do conditional formatting. I can actually set up the criteria myself, and I'm going to go into conditional formatting in a moment to show you this. But let's say I'm looking for a customer that maybe is unique. They've only bought from us once or used our service once, and maybe I want to figure out whether it's worth marketing to them and trying to increase business from them. In this spreadsheet, I already know that where I'm going to find that is in the last name column, column C. So I'm going to change my highlight at this point to C2 through C201. And then in my conditional formatting, again we're on that home ribbon, the styles area, conditional formatting, and I'm going to come down here to new rule. So I can create my own rules. First of all, I'll click on this and you'll notice that you have some of the same ones that we had before where it's based on their value. We had equals to, we could base on what it contains, and so forth. But notice there's one called format only unique or duplicate values. Now this could be useful for you if you have two people inputting data into the spreadsheet and you want to find duplicates. But for me, I know that most of my data is duplicated because I have a lot of the same people using our service over and over. So I want to find the unique ones. I'm going to click on unique and set my format. And let's just do kind of this purple background, and I'll click OK. And I'll click OK again. And somewhere down in February, I actually put myself in there, Barbara Evers. This is the only time I occur in this database, so it did highlight me, and that's a way to find that unique value. The other ones I want to show you with this are, I'm going to be using that total column, so I'll go back and highlight that range again. And in this case, you can do a conditional formatting that's like an if function. You might remember in our functions section we talked about the if function, and you can say if a condition exists, do something. Everything we've been doing basically is if a condition exists, but I can actually get in here and create a formula. So I'm going to come to conditional formatting, and of course I could go to new rule, but let's take a look at manage rules, see what's in there. So I come to manage rules, and it's based on my current selection. Now if I was to do this worksheet, you would see that rule I created a moment ago that found the unique value. But since I have my highlight in column H, if I go just to current selection, I don't have any existing rules right now. I'm going to click New Rule, and this probably looks a bit familiar. We were here just a moment ago, but we're going to look at this last one. Use a formula to determine which cells to format. I'll click on that, and it tells me format values where this formula is true. Now it's a formula. So what do we remember about formulas? We have to start with the equal sign. If you don't start with the equal sign, it's not going to work. Now what I'm going to do is look for everything that is 500 more than the average in the total column. I actually have in cell I2, my average is 482. So everything that's above 982, which is close enough to the 1,000 we were looking at earlier. So the first thing I want to do is say equals average, and in parentheses put my range H2 colon H201, close the parentheses, and then I have an additional parentheses because I want that to happen first, and then I want to add 500 to it. So that's my formula, but I have to tell it how we're going to qualify this formula. So at this point I'm going to say less than H2. So let's look at this. We're looking at the average of H2 to 201, and we're going to then add 500 to that average, and then if the cell is greater than that, it's going to highlight it because I want the average plus 500 to be less than the cell. Now, sidebar real quick here. This takes a little bit of playing with sometimes to get what you want, so don't give up the first time you try to put a formula in here. You might want to play around a little bit, figure out what exactly you want. I will tell you, if you highlight the entire column H, if I clicked up there on the H, this wouldn't work for me because cell H1 doesn't have a number in it. So be aware of those kinds of things when you're trying to do this. Now I'm going to set my format, and I'm going to go with the fill color, that same, let's do a different background color because I have that purple in another area. So let's go with a green background. Green means money, and we're going for the high dollar ones right now. Of course, I do have other options. I can put in a border. Let's go on and put maybe an outline. Let's do maybe a darker green outline border. I could do font formatting, and I can do number formatting, but I'm just going to go with my border and my fill color, and I'll click OK, and it shows me what I have going on right here. There's my formula. I've got my format set. I'm going to click on OK, and here's my rule. So it's showing me the rule, the formula. It's showing me what the format's going to look like. It's telling me what cells it's applied to, and I'm going to just click apply. And you can already see over here my spreadsheet is starting to show up, so I'll click OK. And if I click out, notice I have everything that's over 982 has this formatting. And the beauty of this is the formatting is applied already. So let's say here on January 13th, this is a typo, and they actually ordered, let's see, 4 of those. I tab over, and boom, it got the formatting too. So conditional formatting will help you keep that formatting aligned with what you're looking for versus what you wanted to highlight individually before. So if I change data, it'll fix it. Now, one other thing I might want to do, and I'm going to come back here and highlight my cell range. I'm going to go back into conditional formatting, and you'll notice there's also a clear rules. Now I can clear the rules from the selected cells, which will take out the ones in cells H2 through 201, but leave the purple background over in column C, or I can clear rules for the entire sheet. Before I do that, in Manage Rules, I also have an Edit Rule option, so if it doesn't quite do what you expected it to do, click on Edit Rule and come back in and look and see if the formula is maybe a little off from what you were expecting. Play around with it a little bit. I'm going to leave my formula there. I can change to the worksheet, those type of things also, and I can delete a rule. So I could delete the rule here, which would remove the formatting, or I could go back to that conditional formatting and clear the rules. So I'll delete this rule, and I'll click OK. And that rule's gone, but of course we still do have this rule happening in this spreadsheet. And in my conditional formatting, what I can do is come down here and choose clear rules. I'm not on the selected cell, but I can choose from entire sheet, and it's gone. So I hope that gives you some options for making your data talk more to the people who are looking at it, helping you to find the information that you need.